Hey guys, welcome to video 3. With this, I'm just going to quickly talk about biases, just to clarify anything that might, be new to you. So biases, okay, biases we think of in a negative way. Oh my gosh, I'm so not biased. I love every kid. But the truth of the matter is, research shows that based on our previous experiences in life, what we've been exposed to, we all have some sort of bias. It's nothing to be ashamed about because we've all been around and seen different things. An example might be that, say you are a middle-aged woman and you lived through segregation. You lived through back in the day when, Caucasian and African American people were not equal. They didn't get the same rights. They were treated in different ways. They were viewed in different ways. That's just what you lived through. So now, in this new day and age, segregation is gone, and you still might have your own thoughts about how things used to be, whether you are Caucasian or African American. It doesn't change the fact that you lived through that era and you have certain views, you saw certain things, and so you might have a bias, Another example, looking in the future, is let's talk about a controversial issue here. Well, let's look in the past and the future. And this doesn't have to do with early childhood, but it's going to help you understand because it's something you know of. Okay, so if you think of back in the early 1900s, 1920s, 30s, it was called the Prohibition era. That was right here in America where alcohol was totally illegal. It was like how we view hard drugs right now. Nobody was allowed to have it. People used to have underground bars, speakeasies, maybe you've heard of those, where they would secretly drink alcohol and people would come in and bust them, just like you hear on the news about drug bust. I mean, alcohol was very, very illegal. And in that time period, people looked at alcohol as a bad, bad thing. And then it changed. And now, here in the 2000s, you see it all the time. Bars, happy hours. I mean, I'll be honest with you, our back-to-school kickoff, we have a family picnic at TCC every year. And they provide alcohol for us. They provide beer and wine because it's just so, it's so accepted in our culture. However, people that lived through the Prohibition era see that in a different way. They see it as biased. They might think alcohol is bad. And honestly, if you look 50 years from now, some of the stuff that's illegal now probably won't be legal later. Maybe marijuana. Marijuana is illegal now. Some states it's illegal, or it's legal, So just think about that. Biases have to do with changing of times, changing of experiences, and what we've been exposed to, okay? So now that I've tried to apply it to something you might already know about, let's talk about how this applies to early childhood. All right? You may just think, oh my gosh, if this child has a parent in jail, that's so bad, that poor child. And you may automatically, before you even know that person in jail that's incarcerated, you might already have feelings about them. And that affects the child, okay? Another example is maybe you have a child who has a parents that are separated right now. And you find out that that child is separated, or the parents are separated because the dad was unfaithful and, committed adultery. And so that dad still comes to pick up the child, and it's very, very possible you're going to have a bias to that dad. You might not say anything, but somewhere in your mind you have your own thoughts about that. Biases could be anything from the way people act, the way people dress, their religious preferences, the color of their skin, their ethnicity, their language. Biases are all over, and the reason that this is a course outcome, something that you are required to learn, is because it's important that you recognize your biases. Because if you're not aware of them, you can't be intentional about not being biased. You just can't. I'm trying to think of an example of when I was biased once. I'll give you an example, okay? This might hit home to some people. I was raised in a middle-class family, and we really never went without until I was about 16 when my family broke up. So I never really knew much about poverty and homelessness and things like that. And I'll be really honest with you, for a long time, I used to be that person that thought, I'd have a child that I knew was on DSS subsidies, meaning that they get state funding to pay for their childcare. Well, then the mom would come in, wearing really nice clothes, more expensive than mine, on, an expensive iPhone. And I'm not going to lie, I was biased. I'd be like, man, how are my tax dollars paying for her childcare when she's got nicer clothes and phone than I do? And, I thought that several times about several people. And, we all have our own thoughts. But I'll never forget talking to a parent once. And, it wasn't something I brought up, but she said, a lot of people look at people like me that might get food stamps, might get assistance for childcare, things like that. And they see our things and they judge. They're biased. And I said, yeah, I really agree. I mean, I'm that person sometimes. I'm human. When you don't know, you don't know. And she said, well, let me tell you something. She said, people see that in me, but what they don't know is that my nice clothes came from Goodwill. They came from Goodwill. Don't people that have lots of money donate really nice name brand clothes to Goodwill? I said, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I go there. She said, yeah, I mean, you look at these fancy Calvin Klein jeans, they were $1.50. That's all I can afford. And she said, and my iPhone, my dad gave it to me. My dad bought it for me. I didn't even pay the bill. My dad paid it, So it really made me step back and be aware of my own bias, to be like, wow, once I learned the other side of the perspective, it changed the way I saw these people. So that's just my personal example of a bias. But if I wasn't aware that I had that bias, if I tried to say, no, I'm not biased, I love everybody, I wouldn't be able to open my eyes to hear somebody else's perspective and become unbiased. And now I see people like that, and I'm totally unbiased because I know their perspective. So the reason that VCCS, which is the Virginia Community College System, requires that all CHD 165 students learn about biases is because you cannot be unbiased until you are, 1, aware of your bias, and 2, see the other perspective. So that's my overview. Now you get to do the bias assignment, which is really, really fun. I've done it myself, and my last 165 class really enjoyed it. So you are going to go to that web link on your assignment packet, and you're going to take a test. You're going to read about biases, and then you're going to take a test, and then you're going to report back to me and tell me, 1, what did you learn about biases, and 2, what did you learn about yourself with your own bias? It's a really, really fun activity. It's kind of like back in the day when we used to read 17 magazine, I did, and you take quizzes, what personality type are you? This is the same idea. So enjoy it. Enjoy your paper. Okay, that sounds funny, but it's really cool. And then let me know if you have any questions, okay? Email me is the best way to get me, but you can also call. Okay, you can call my Google Voice number, which is 757-384-0822. And that goes right to my cell phone, and I can answer and talk to you right there. Okay, so talk to you later. Let me know if you have any questions, and enjoy your week. See you next week.